anyị ike gwụzila ha ka ga na-atakwa ahụ maka na ha azụtaghị ụmụ ha ka ha ga-esi welu zụbazie nne ha. O nwere onye ihe okwu anyị na-ekwu na bọs mbọsị anyị na-eje ọrụ nwaanyị wee sị m na ya lụtakwa ọrụ retaya n'ọkwa ụmụ ya ga-abụ na-enwezikwa ọrụ ọzọ ya na-eje ịrụ ndị a na-azị ka ha jee egodo n'afọ na-abata na ya ma afọ ga na-abata n'ọkwa ụmụ ya ga-abụ penshọn ya n'ọkwa ya ga-abụ mana onye nke ịzụrụ n'ọfụma ihe ga-abụ penshọn gị mana ọ bụrụ na ịzụrụ ya ọfụma ihe ọ chọrọ ọ na-eme oje skuul ọma nnata na skuulu na be m dị ebe enyi o nwere ụmụaka m fụrụ ha fụta parents echegoro na ha ejewe skuul ha bịa na ya dị na-eche onye na-eje akwụkwọ baite pasa ga nsị na mfụkwa ụlọ ọzọ akpọọlụ m unu fada mgbodi ile ọ bịa chịkọrọ unu ebe a parents ha azụrụ ha ọhụma maka ọ bụ na azụrụ ha ọfụma egwu ama nke ha bafu n'olube mmadụ hafu skuul parents chekwa na ha nọ na skuul na ha ama ha nọ na ya dị so ụdị ozu dị oke ahụ nwere ka ọ dị and o bidoro na mbụ enye ha nwa ọzụzụ ikwesịrị inye mgbe ọ na-eto ọnya melụ o ji welu dịrị otu a. So ndụmọdụ na-enye ha bụ biko bido n'oge from 1 year nwa gị dị nyewe ezumazụ anyị si na ọka bụ obere nwa.
Gị bụ onye ọma na-ene anyị ama m na onwe otu ihe ma ọ bụ abụọ ịghọta na ihe anyị kwuru maka na ihe o ji dị ka ndị nkụzi ọdịiche bụ na ụdị egwu ụmụ akwụkwọ na-atụ ha ịchọ ha n'ime nwatakịrị ihe si ya m ga-abụ onye nkụzi gị ọ bụrụ ndị na-asụ oyibo ọ sị I'll report you to your teacher. Egwu aba nwatakịrị ahụ arụ mgbe nye aka nji wee chọọ ịma ihe dị iche ndị nkụzi na-eme. Unu ahụgo n'ihe site n'ọnụ Odoziakụ Ebere Eso Nwanne dụkwazịa ndị nne na nna ọdụ bidokwe n'oge lụba nke gị maka ibido n'oge lụba nke gị ọ ga-adabakwala anyị. Daalụrị nne Odoziakụ Ebere Eso Nwanne maka isonyere anyị na nke taa. Ama m na mgbe ọzọ m ga-akpọ gị na ị ga-abịa mana nwantịntị okwu ke ndụmọdụ ị ga-adụkwa na onye nkụzi na-enene anyị. Ndụmọdụ ị ga-adụ onye nkụzi dịka onye nkụzi bụ kedu ndụmọdụ ị ga-adụ onye nkụzi maka ụfọdụ a na-emetekwu ya ma ikwenye ha ụfọdụ a na-emetekwu ya ke ndụmọdụ ị ga-adụ ndị nkụzi na-ada emetụ ya maka onwe ndị na-emetụ ya ndị nkụzi na-ada emetụ ya.
Ugbu a ka ị bịara maka na itinyeburu m na nsogbu alatachara m ihe ị chọrọ ikwu ndị nkụzi na-ada emetụ ya. Ndụmọdụ nwere inye ha bụ ha jisi ike mewu ya ijelu ọzụzụ maka ya iji na ego a na-akwụ anyị maka ihe ga na-anụ ha na-ekwu ego a na-akwụ anyị okwe na ihe a na-akwụ ndị nkụzi okwe na ihe a na-eme nke ọzọ mana ọ bụrụ ya ụgwọ ọlụrụ dị n'eluigwe nke a na-akwụrọ gị n'ụwa chaa aka gọli ya n'eluigwe maka na ịlụ ọlụ gị otu isi kwesị ịlụ ya n'ụwa ụgwọ ọlụ dịkwa ebe ahụ mana ọ bụrụ na ị lụrụ ya otu isi kwesị ịlụ ya ị ga-azakwa azụzụ ya. Amaara m mgbe m nọ skuulu anyị girls grammar school Ọkụnanọ girls late Mrs. Nwazo ga-asị gị go and teach these students, they are your children, they are your children, teach them. Na bụ ihe balụmọntị nwa bụ onye nkụzi ana m anagidekwe klaasị ma eji ya jikwelu skimu enyelu m welu na-akụzie ya bụ ụmụ m pụkwa jee exam ha na-eme ọfụma maka gịnị na nkụzi. So onye nkụzi ọbụla na-ege anyị ntị biko enele anya Sullivan mba si mgbodi ile si omero nke ọzọ enene anya rụwa ọlụ lụsiwe ọlụ ike gị bụ onye nkụzi na-ege m ntị rụwa ọlụ lụsiwe ọlụ ike maka na nwa ahụ ezụrụ a sị na ofu onye ada azụ nwa ahụ ezụrụ nwere ike ịbụ onye ga-azọpụta gị n'ọdịnihu. Ọ na-eme onwe ike nwatakịrị nọkọta otu asụ ike bring your account number okwunyere gị ego ọ bụrụ na ị mejọrọ ya na ịkụziri eli ọfụma mgbe ọ nọ na skuul ọ ma ngwa gị ihe dị otu a. so gị bụ onye nkụzi na-ege anyị ntị jisi ike na-alụ ọrụ gị ma akwụrụ ụgwọ ma akwụrụ ụgwọ na-alụ ọrụ gị na-alụsie ike na-alụ ihe ị kwesịrị ịlụ.
Daalụ rinne. O wee bụrụ ebe a ka anyị na-ekpokọta nke izu ụka Odoziakụ Ebere so nwanne masị gị daalụ rinne maka isonyela anyị. Ama m na mgbe ọzọ m ga-akpọkwa gị na ị ga-abịa maka ikwuru okwu dịka prịnsịpal. Onye a na-ekwu bụ prịnsịpal CSS Agụobu Ụmụmba Eziagụ Local Government Area. Daalụ rinne na ọzụzụ na-enye ụmụ anyị. Ama m na onye ọbụla gere anyị ntị nwee otu ihe ma ọ bụ abụọ ọ mụta n'ebe ị nọ.
Daalụ.
Ọ bụrụ na ị sonyela anyị na nke taa na ihe anyị na-eme na-amasị gị, sonyela anyị n'ebe anyị na-emetụ aka. Ọ bụrụ ndị oyibo ọsị gị na soshal midia, ebe ọ ga-abụ ihe ọbụla a na-eme na mba ọbụla ị nọ n'ụwa niile, ị na-ahụ ihe anyị na-eme na Facebook anyị na Aneke TV, na YouTube na Aneke TV, ọ bụ na TikTok o. Afọ ọbụla abalị ihe ị ga-eme bụ pịa Aneke TV ka ị sonyela anyị. Onwe alụ ị ga-atụnyela anyị ịtụnyela anyị maka na nke a bụ nke anyị. Abụ m Ngozi Ọtahumele. Ka emesịanụ.
The eagle stands as a majestic symbol of strength, clarity, and vision. Its ability to soar above storms signifies resilience, while its shaped sight represents focus. This is why many nations, including Nigeria, use the eagle as an emblem of nation pride. Eagles do not fear challenges, they embrace them. They fly higher when the winds become strong, rising above obstacles rather than avoiding them. This teaches us that problems are not barriers, but stepping stones for those who dare. To live like an eagle is to stay focused, courageous, and disciplined. It is to see opportunities where others see only difficulties. The sky is not your limit, it is your launch pad.
Enugu is one of the 36 states of Nigerian Federation. It is located on a hilltop in the southern part of the country. It has a rich history and robust cultural heritage that boasts its uniqueness. Igbo is a widely spoken language in Enugu State. Enugu is popularly called the Coal City State because of its large deposits of coal and other mineral resources. Enugu has 17 local government area councils. The history of Enugu dates back to the early 20th century when the British discovered coal in the Udi Hills in 1909, which led to the development of Enugu City in 1912 as a thriving mining town. Enugu empowered the Nigerian railway system and electric plants greatly during the colonial era. On the 27th of August 1991, Enugu was carved out from Anambra to become a state. As the home of the Igbo people, Enugu's culture reflected in its music, art, and traditions. Enugu is situated in the eastern part of Nigeria, sharing borders with Benue at the north, Ebonyi at the east, Abia and Imo at the south, and Anambra and Kogi at the west, covering approximately 7,161 square kilometers. Enugu is characterized by undulating hills, forests, rivers, and fertile soil, making it suitable for farming. The state experiences significant rainfall with an average annual precipitation of around 2,100 millimeters, and temperatures averaging 28 degrees Celsius. The people of Enugu State are predominantly Igbo, one of the largest ethnic groups in Nigeria. The Igbo language is a fundamental part of their culture and identity, with many dialects spoken across the state. Language plays a vital role in shaping the culture and identity of the Igbo people. Enugu is very rich in culture and traditional practices, one of which is the New Yam Festival, Iriji, which is a traditional celebration that marks the beginning of the harvest season. Another significant cultural event is the Masquerade Festival, Mmong, a colorful display of traditional dances, songs, and drumming. During this festival, different communities come together to showcase their masquerades. Enugu State is also known for its traditional arts including wood carving, pottery, weaving, and music. Enugu's cultural traditions help promote community cohesion, social bonding, and cultural identity. In the past, Enugu's economy was largely driven by coal mining. During the colonial era, Enugu was one of Nigeria's major industrial and economic centers. Today, Enugu's economy has become more diversified with some key sectors which includes agriculture, trade and markets, education and government, tourist centers. Enugu State is an important part of Nigeria, known for its cultural richness, peaceful environment, rich history and tourist attractions. From its coal mining history to its current role as an educational and cultural hub, Enugu continues to grow and contribute greatly to the development of Nigeria.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
It is good enough that we have you on this program, Security Watch, on Aneke TV. It is the enlightenment program that helps you or helps us to look into the essence of security of lives and properties of the citizens. And it, of course, renders solutions on how to reduce the insecurity we find in this country to the barest minimum. You can find us on our socials. We have our Facebook page, we have our TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Aneke TV. Thank you so much for being there. My name is Chukwuemeka Obasi, and today we are looking at the key issues of security in Enugu State and beyond. Good enough, we have a guest who we have on the studio, the Secretary, Guild of Public Affairs Analyst of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, Dr. Chikezie Obasi is here. Doc, you are welcome on the show.
Thank you, Aneke. Thank you, our viewers.
All right. When we say key issues of security, what are we really talking about?
Where would I place it so that the other person would appreciate what security is? Not just the absence of, you having fear, but you guarantee that you are not living with fear. Guarantee you are free to do things within the ambits of the law, and you are guaranteed, a wholesome livelihood. Some people have gone into security and looked at it from multiple dimensions, which they look at it from the perspective of human security, where you have, security of the one we know, which is mechanical. Then there is food security, there's health security, there's financial security, and environmental security, and whole lot. These days we have what we call cyber security. But the whole essence is that every form of security should be guaranteed within a society so that human beings will live freely, not just to see that they are free of fear, but they are still going to achieve the ultimate reason why they are on earth. That's the dimensions, if you really look at it, of security.
Okay, thank you, Doc. But then let's look at it from the core essence of security in our nation.
You know, today we are looking at security in our nation. I will categorize it on, you know, the most important one people look at is absence of fear. You know, people are looking at, you know, the terror going on, the killings, the kidnappings, the terrorism more importantly, because I want to use terrorism to blanket all of them in the sense that it is happening in almost all the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. What can be closely related to that is the kidnapping we're having, which I think by, if you look at from the point of terrorism, is still part of it, because they are just to instill fear in people. But there's another fundamental one which we are really not looking at, and that is financial security. You know, in as much as we might look at the mechanical aspect, which many of us are fully aware, we can begin to look at the drivers of these, what you are seeing as manifestation of insecurity. And then when you take a look at financial insecurity, you begin to see the poverty level. You know, you begin to see the inequalities in the country. You begin to see the drivers of, you know, the insecurities made manifest. Now, you could equally look at the health security, because when you take a look at it critically, how many of our people can afford to have decent, you know, living today? How many of them can afford to have quality healthcare services available and accessible to them? And then for some, you might begin to look at it from, let me say for the Gen Zs, they are beginning to have cyber security, where fraudsters are beginning to threaten people on a daily basis. But by and large, what we have is the combative nature, you know, the security provided by the police, the military, and the paramilitary. That's one most of us can easily identify.
Yeah.
But the issue is, what are the drivers that make that insecurity? You know, that bring out our police and our military out of the barrack on the road. I think that is a remote, you know, thing that will agitate every decent mind in Nigeria today.
Automatically, you are tilting towards discussing the causes of insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, let us take it to the aspect of unemployment. Okay. Is there any way unemployment can come in to be a cause of insecurity?
That's an old maxim. The countries that have the highest human development index, like the Scandinavian countries, have the least insecurity. The idle mind is the devil's workshop. Once your mind is not occupied with something will occupy it. That this maxim will say, he who fails to plan has planned to fail. It's something, if for any reason you fail to employ a person, the person will be gainfully employed in the hands of, you know, other tools.
Okay.
So you see, unemployment, first of all, for those that want to recruit criminals, unemployment creates the opportunity for them to have those that they will easily recruit. Take for example the Boko Haram, the ISWAP. It was reported that ISWAP recruits people with as much as low as 20,000 naira one-off payment, and then 5,000 naira monthly. So you could see that people who cannot work to get 5,000 naira, 20,000 naira, we are easily recruited. That's about 2018, 2019 per month. You know, so you see that the reason why unemployment is a problem. Now, even if you come to Nigeria, Lagos State has the highest density in terms of population in the country. And if you look at Lagos State, it's clear that one would have expected to be hearing, you know, the highest level of insecurity in Nigeria coming out from that state. But if you really take a look at the percentage of insecurity in Lagos State compared to somewhere like Katsina, Zamfara, or Borno, and so on, you begin to appreciate what unemployment could do. A lot of people in Lagos State are employed either directly or indirectly. But in these areas I mentioned, a lot of people are not employed. You know, so unemployment rate is #1 catalyst because it, if you open the Pandora of unemployment, you begin to wonder why people are not employed. that will now take us to government policies, corruption, you know, and the other things that may arise from it.
Right, you talked about government policies. You mean that government will begin to make policies towards employment of the young people?
Okay, fine. When you take a look at this, I was listening to what the presidents were saying in Davos. The day before yesterday, I saw, what's the name? I saw the Prime Minister of Canada talk about the Canadian position when it comes to United States and Greenland and then the Euro of Europe. And that was years forward towards NATO and seeing that NATO works. And I was like, I listened to him and I felt this is what a president should think of. Now, government is not, is an act, is a science. It's something that people will sit down to say, over the next 10 years, what is this state, what is this nation thinking about? For example, take a look at Nigeria, 40-something million Nigerians in 1960, 230 million Nigerians in 26 rather. Now, how did we sit over the last 60 years seeing this projection in population, but nobody was talking about how to industrialize? If you had listened to that, the Prime Minister of Canada, he was emphatic on saying that, look, the middle countries, the middle powers, he called the middle powers, need to come and collaborate. He was talking about policies and countries that they, reached out to over the last 6 months. And that's what it should be, because a country needed to say, in 2050, what is the population of Nigeria going to be? What is the projected youth unemployment going to be? And you begin to say, these are policies that you will put in place to make sure that sustainable development, sustainable growth is achieved by the time that population is coming. So, back to Nigeria, you see that what we have had is a knee-jerk approach to leadership. A leadership where people will get up in the morning and say, I think people have lived here, they need water, they need road, they need electricity. I mean, they say, okay, can we provide electricity? And they will start clapping. For me, that's nonsensical, honestly speaking. That's not leadership. I remember the last Enugu State gubernatorial election, there was this candidate that was talking about constructing roads, and he was naming the roads he was to reconstruct. And I quickly put that across to him over the phone. I said, that's on the air. I said, the roads you named were all designed in 1960s, 70s, and 80s, when the population of Enugu was not expected to be more than 2 million. So today, what do you think the population of Enugu will be? And why are you talking about these same routes? Is there any route to say, these roads I want to construct was meant to, is going to be carrying 30,000 persons vehicles per day, 10,000 vehicles per hour, or thereabouts, so that you know the traffic. I say, when you want to do this, you begin to project what is the population of Enugu going to be in the next, 20 years, next 10 years, before you begin to waste the money of meant for Enugu people. And you see that this is the problem we have with governance. And this is the problem we have with unemployment. People do not sit down to project what happens to the population. Every January of each year, we see the first lady going to the hospital to greet the first baby of the year. Then begin to ask your question, this baby of the year that you saw on the 1st of January, in 20 years' time, is there any policy, arrangement that will take away this child when he gets, comes out of our institution to work? And that's where the problem is, So you discover that all over the world, people project and think policies that will bring in, economic growth, will make population, unemployment rate to drop, inflation, and those things that will cause poverty and will increase unemployment to drop. These are policies you must do. Last year, we saw our president who got up and said he want to open border. And I said, police is on assault. Now, people we are talking about getting rice and getting a sustainable, cultivation of rice. And then we have started seeing positive results. Now, there was a problem. Nigerians were having difficulties. Do you have a plan of having a gated type of, importation of rice. Because each time you import, you kill employment. Anything you import that has an alternative to be produced in your country, you killed an employment in your own country. So do you have a proper plan? Is there an incentive to be given to farmers such that more people will go into that and they will see more production, more refinement, more improvement? So these are the issues. You see that the policies of government, especially not only in Nigeria, I must say it, but in majority of the African and Southern Hemisphere and third world countries, have become such that we are still practicing an extractive, employment style, where you are just giving a hideout to work, for the masters. And unfortunately, it has not solved the problem of the teeming population.
But from the way you are speaking as if the government has done that intentionally. Is it not a lag somewhere, and probably the government will have to come up with new strategies to meet up?
Yeah, you said something that is deep. And I always query our education, I must tell you the truth. Because you really take a look at almost 19-something% of those leading us today, right from House of Assembly or local government, down up to the presidency. I might say that majority of them, close to 90% of them, all passed through our primary and secondary educational institution. But they failed to fix the system. They failed to adjust to policies that would, would make us better. I was talking with one of UNESCO diplomat, and he told me that there was international diplomatic meeting they had, and America was coming with good policies, good bargaining, and Africans were not even, they are not prepared. So he was wondering what happened. I said, look, our 5 African leaders went to USA, and Trump ended up telling one of them that, look, you speak good English, and they laughed. I said, if the presidents do not understand that in Washington, in Oval Chambers, it's a place where high diplomatic issues are discussed. It's a place where you come with what you have. If they don't understand that, why would the ministers of health understand that? Now, it's covered that most of our leaders are what I call accidental leaders. They don't understand what diplomacy is. They don't understand the leverage. And that's why you make somebody a governor in third world country like ours, instead of the person going home to cry, to ask people to help him, he goes to church to celebrate. I mean, you are going to work. That's the problem. Where you are headed to is a place where you will suffer and work. But you are celebrating before even starting the work. Which means you don't even understand what you are going there to do. If you make somebody a local government chairman, you will go celebration. If you understand how much that will come into the coffers of the local government area in 4 years, in 3 years, in 2 years as the case may be, and then understand the magnitude of poverty, insecurity, population deprivation, or economic deprivation of the masses, and what you are supposed to put in place to bridge that gap, you simply go home and ask God, why did you punish me this way? Because you need enormous work. If you watch what happened in Davos, and you see the prime minister stand to talk, you see people carrying shoulder of problems of their country, to discuss. You see them bringing out policies. You see them coming to the table with, like I would say, if you listen to Canadian president, he said, we are open, to discussion. And he railed out in 6 months how many countries he has tried to tie in trade. He will tell you why they are shifting from their old alliance with America, because the old alliance was filled with fraud and it wasn't benefiting them. And that's what I expect leaders to think of. You are coming to a country where the average GDP per capita is hovering around 1,000 naira today, between 1,000 and 1,800 naira. Poverty rates about 140 million persons, more than 2/3 of, or close to 2/3 of your population, and you are laughing. Laughing over what? You are in hot soup. So how many of us have gotten that deep thought, right from our university days or secondary school days, that look, I am going here to work. And what are you going to do?
Instead of celebrating, even in the first instance.
There's no celebration there. Really, if you really know what to, even if you want to steal money, and you know which I'm not support anyway, and you know the most work you're supposed to do, there's no celebration that you are made a local government chairman, you are made a commissioner. It doesn't call for celebration. It calls for sober reflection. Because what you expected to do, as I am now, let's say, one day you call me to say, as a medical doctor, to come and become a local government chairman, a commissioner of health. The first thing that will strike my head is infant and maternal mortality. The first thing that will strike my head is how many people are not covered under health insurance. The next that will strike my head are how many people cannot, what is the doctor-nurse patient relationship ratio in the system? How do I retain workers? These are things that will hit my head. And there's no solution anywhere you can proffer, because any solution you proffer might have been a solution from another environment, which may not be, easily adopted to suit this place. So when you sit down and you're able to galvanize what the problems are, you see that you have no reason to celebrate. No reason.
Yeah, well, let me come in this way, Doc. This attitude of a negligence to the duty you are called up for, how much can one relate it to the corruption that has been there and people are talking about it?
The question is, the person that you said that neglected the duty, did he realize that there's negligence? You might not be looking at it from that perspective. I think the bottom line is one. What kind of leadership did we inherit? We entered a leadership where there's this servant-master relationship, where those in governance, it's happened in security. Take a look at our security operatives. Most of the policemen, you saw the president giving a marching order that all the security men, so following the VIPs and VVIPs, should be withdrawn. Because the security apparatus we inherited, it was just to protect the white man. And that is what we are still doing up to today. So negligence on the part of leaders will start with, they don't understand what they are meant to do.
Okay.
Do they see it as opportunity, just like the white man saw leadership as opportunity to take away things from Africa? And these are leaders got it. Do they still see themselves in that shoe the colonial master saw himself? Or have they seen it as, look, we are here to do something for our people? So it's until we begin to look at it from that perspective, you now begin to question those that understand what they went to government to do, and those that understand that, we understand those that actually went to government to help their pocket. But I can tell you, many of us who are in leadership, who are in positions, actually went there to help our pockets.
Okay, Doc, that is your opinion anyway.
Yeah,
that is your opinion.
Entitled to it.
You're entitled to your opinion. All right, let's come back to the security agent, in quotes. In your own scorecard, how do you score the effort of the security agents so far in making sure that insecurity is reduced to the barest minimum?
The efforts of the security agents cannot be scored away or far away from the efforts of leaders and the populace. Security agents are made up of leaders. First is, how does the average leader look at security of of the environment where he's leading? The police commissioner, the average policeman, what does he think he wants to achieve? There's this skit that I saw yesterday. I cried, and I said I was going to send that to the PPR of Enugu State, where a child who is less than 4 years was asked what she would do when she grows older. She said she was going to be a police officer. And the person asked her, what would you do? So it's block the road, collect money from keke riders and taxi riders. A young girl. Now, when we saw it, we said it was a skit. I said it's not a skit. This is the mentality this child has got about the police. This is what the child has got. You may say the child is wrong, but that child is entitled, and that's forming the child's opinion. And I can tell you that many of our people who went into security, as majority of them, or many of them, do not see service as the primary reason. So even when those that are doing all they could are doing, you see sabotage here and there. Sabotage in Nigerian military, sabotage in...
Like amongst themselves?
Yes. Sabotage had been recorded. We've seen security operatives that sell ammunition, sells, information. Last time we saw I think General Musa Oba, who was that person that was killed. When he lost, attack was launched on his base, and he escaped. Through the messages he sent back, according to what we noticed, he was tracked by the, criminal, the terrorists. I think Boko Haram, and was murdered. So you see, there are a lot of lapses going on within the security operative. You come to the police. There was a time that once you tell a policeman anything concerning crime, the criminals will visit you. Unfortunately, there's this video that went around, I think about 2-3 years ago, of a criminal that was arrested somewhere in the southwest. And in the pickup truck, he was threatening the policeman. You better release me now. If I go there, I'm going to come back and I'll come after you. You can understand that. That will tell you what is actually, reinforcing that. The young man knows that once he steps in there, he could compromise his way. So, by and large, what am I trying to say? That the security operatives have not operated within the optimal capacity we expect of them. Nobody will say that security operatives in Nigeria today has done what should earn them, a pass mark. Nobody will say security operatives in Nigeria today have done what one will say, indeed, you have done wonderfully well. Otherwise, for nearly 15 years now, we've been managing some simple insurgents, in the northeast and northwest, and this what's name as the day goes by. So what's happening there?
Doc, let's have you come in from what do you think will be done, the profiling solution, or the aspects of the security architecture that you think will have to beef up in order for the security to be up and doing with the expected duties?
In the first instance, I keep saying that the first way to handle insecurity in any developed nation is to handle the overall human security, the livelihood of everybody. A military man who sells his arms, who leaks information, did that in exchange for money. So if the security man had actually gotten money, was paid well, you might see that he wouldn't have leaked any information to anybody. I don't know if you get what I'm going to point out.
Okay.
So if you take care of people and the needs are well sorted out or relatively sorted out, you begin to see that first a lot of people will be taken out of, a lot of criminals would have been taken out of their crime and they will become good citizens.
Does it not look like kind of a lack of integrity?
It's not integrity in the person who is hungry and poor. What you do when you are hungry and poor may not be 100% predicted by you until you get to that desperate measure. When you are struggling to survive, let me give you this analogy. There's this old saying, I don't know how it holds water now. If somebody walks into a normal food hotel and eats food without meat and says, please, I'm hungry, there's this saying that you will leave the person to go. If somebody gets to your house and says he's hungry, an average Igbo woman, which I know, will look for something to give the person.
Give to the person, yes.
You don't say the person is a glutton. When you say the person is a glutton, when you are giving the person something, and he's looking for meat or looking for some other thing, okay. You don't say this person is not hungry. I don't even. That's trying to let you know that first, make sure that the person has been sorted out basically of hunger. Before you now say that the man that puts hands in your food is a criminal, he might have been driven by hunger. A military man or a security operative whose child is ill and cannot pay for hospital bill, or the precious child he has, and somebody says, just give us information when the brigadier general is leaving and you are richer by 5 million naira. I mean, I can tell you that it will take extreme grace of God, to make the person not to release that information. Provided he knows that he does not have a direct harm. Because you have not sorted out. That's why I tried to point out that if you really want to sort out some issues, then begin with human security. How do you make the environment good?
And make human beings comfortable.
Yes, that will make the job of the security operatives to be reduced. And remember, when you are sorting out the society, you are sorting them out equally. So when you give them their work, their jobs to do, They will do it without, believing. We have seen security operatives that, refused bribes.
Okay.
But the question is, how many of them can we say they refuse bribe? So when you begin to look at the conditions of services, before these security operatives, you begin to say, no. These guys are being tempted, are being pushed into temptation by the government. If you take a look at an average police officer on the road, you will not be happy. You won't feel proud being in the position. Many of them have been on the highway. I'll get to them. I say, please, I didn't see any bullet-proof vest on this high-risk road. He would simply tell you, there's none given to me. That's somebody's father. So if you go to the average police officer's, policeman's office, you will like, is this where somebody should stay? Or is it only recently that we saw the renovation of their offices? Or do you take a look at the vehicles they are using? And what is the impress of these policemen running their offices per month?
Okay.
These are issues when you take a look, you see that even the policeman is so disgusted with the office where he is staying. You are seated in a very relatively comfortable environment. If you have a visitor, you'll be proud to tell a visitor to come in here. How many of our policemen can be in the offices and they welcome visitors in the offices? I don't want to talk about the military, but I'm talking about the ones that relate to us. So are they comfortable? Get into an average police station. Ask them to write. They will tell you, bring money for paper, bring money. Because there's no interest given to them.
Doc, thank you so much. We'll come back to that. Seeing that much of the blames are directly going to the government, and I think the government agents will, as a matter of fact, hear us. So we're going to observe just a short break. Now we will come back. You will tell us how would you justify, in your own personal view, the saying that the security has eventually become everybody's business. Thank you so much, our viewer. We want to observe just a short break. Please don't go away. We shall be right back.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Okay, back from the short break, we are still on the program Security Watch on Aneke TV. Today we are looking at the key issues of security in Enugu State and beyond. And I have been with the Secretary, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, Dr. Chikezie Obasi. Doc, thank you so much. Let's continue.
Thank you.
All right, before we went on the short break, we were talking about, yes, I told you that when we come back, we'll look at your own justification on why that saying, that popular saying that security has eventually become everybody's business is either true to you or false.
For some of us who are watching us, any part of Nigeria, I always say this. If for any reason you are living 50 kilometers from your village, let's say in the southeast here, and you receive an alert or a call by 8 p.m. informing you that your mother had, fainted or went into unconsciousness, and that she was required to be taken to a hospital that night, that the hospital in your local community was not functional, what would you do? There you know that security is everybody's business. What would you do? First, health insecurity caused your mother, for example, not to have access to a very nice hospital within the locality. So you are now pressured to move your vehicle down to the village, right? Now, you have everything, in your own, your car, the lights and everything. The next question is, how do I traverse 50 kilometers without being kidnapped? Once you remember that kidnapping is on the way to your village, your mind will reset. The options are here. First, Father, unto thy hand I commit this soul to my mother. If she dies the next morning, at least let me be alive to bury her. Number one. Number two, you begin to ask, is there any possibility of bringing her to the town? Those that have vehicles will tell you, the pathway is dangerous. So you leave your mom in the village if care is not taken, or you take the tortuous, dangerous path of getting to your village and then handing over the journey to the hands of the Lord. Let's rewind this back to some 15, 20 years back. If you are informed by 11 a.m. that your mother was sick from any part of the southeast, you will kick your vehicle and move to the village. You can now see that
11 a.m. or 11 p.m.?
11 p.m.
Okay.
You can now see that what you could think that concerns them has now affected you. We have lost a lot of parents, to these type of scenarios I just painted. We have lost a lot of businesses to these scenarios we painted. We've lost a lot of our good, population. People have been kidnapped. Many of the populace today, if you have not contributed, to ransom, you might have known a person that, was ransom was paid for. Many of our colleagues, my colleagues, the young doctors, have jumped out of this country. But I remember one whom was kidnapped twice, and he vowed never to step his feet again in the southeast. He has left over 10 years now, and he hasn't come back. Of course, I understand clearly post-traumatic stress disorder, which is following you. Now, this is how everybody is affected one way or the other way. If I talk about environmental insecurity, we'll talk about water. On the average, people are affected by scarcity of water, shortage of water, poor rainfall, and so on. What is the government doing about it? So everybody is one way or the other will be affected.
Of course, when we say everybody, government one side,
and all
then
of
all of us the other side. Then what do we do?
Now, the big question, what you know is that for any time there is an insecurity, government diverts fund needed to provide the other essentials of life, health, road, and so on, towards insecurity. For any bullet you expend, is money that would have been channeled to some other place. When you hear an average military officer, shooting putting a rapid and getting about 50, 60 bullets in less than 10 seconds, we will all hail it. But each of those bullets expended is nothing less than 1,000 naira. Nothing. So if he shoots 50 in the air to scare criminals, he has expended one person's salary in a month in just 5 seconds. Something that would have taken away a lot of poverty out of so many people's homes. So this is how it is. Security is quite expensive. So if you don't understand it, it becomes a problem. Then on the security operatives, there's a problem people got. Because when you say security is everybody's business, it simply means that there's this what police says, see something, say something. So you begin by averting insecurity in the first instance. Let me say government has failed. But for us, when there is a neighbor by your side, somebody that started expending money, somebody that you used to know is not doing anything, but suddenly he's driving chains of cars, and he doesn't have a good means of livelihood.
That is known.
That's known to you. Remember Simon Eber? It was the neighbor that alerted the security operative, according to what they told us in the court, that Simon Eber will be saying things and you over the people are getting southeast. No, he never alerted that, look, this man's internet calls and messages is suspicious. And that was used in tracking him down. That's not all the evidence is given against him. But here, we see people whom we know are kidnappers living close to us. But when you now open up your mouth, it goes back to what I said. We had instances where when you report criminals, before you get back to your house, the criminal will knock at your door and say, hey, now you have reported me. You've not returned from where you gave the report. So the big question is, how do we, begin to guard ourselves to understand that this is a problem? It requires a deep thought. For me, overall security. Such that those in government, because I don't separate government from the populace. There might be opportunity to be the next governor of Aneke. And this thing we are talking here, we say government, you are the government then. I always say that many of these people who are in leadership today, we are less than 30 years.
Doc, look at where my concentration is as a person. You have your opinion, I don't have any. But I think that the government one side, then the people are the other side.
No, I don't want to separate government too. This is not fair. It is out of us that government appears. So those living us should see themselves as government too. Any of us can be picked to be the governor next 2-3 years.
But as it stands now.
No, government, if we don't begin to look at that responsibility, to know that what we should do today, if you find yourself in government, if you cannot do it today, you can't do it as a governor. If you cannot think positively of how your street will be secured, You cannot think how Enugu State will be secured if you become a governor.
But you wouldn't tell me that it is not government that has all it takes to fight insecurity
I
assistance.
want you to understand that name government is an abstract noun. It takes active or action when the right person occupies it. We used to hear that American institutions are wonderful until Trump came. We've seen how ICE had been damaging people and killing people, buying people in Minneapolis. Government is there. There's a government that we used to say respect for human rights was at its peak. We have seen another person that came to government, and we have seen we are even American, citizens. I mean, bundled away, rightful citizens. 36 of them killed by the same government, and I liken it to what SARS was doing. It is government because a different person has occupied it. So for me, each opportunity I have, I keep telling people, don't differentiate the citizen from the government. Think positive first. That place you are, that street where you are living, in your household, in the yard where you are staying, somebody did not leave the security door at night. What do you do? In many of us where we are staying today, can they afford to say, can you come out in the evening to say that the compound is well lit? If you cannot buy bulb to lit your compound, how would you light up Enugu State if you become a governor? You won't see the reason.
Okay.
If you cannot say, let's contribute and then get security operatives along the streets where you are living, how do you think you can participate? If you cannot volunteer yourself to do something that is meaningful, if you become a governor, because one of us must be there. It may not be me, it may not be you, but somebody may well be listening to us should have the better orientation. There is no place, there is nothing called government. If you don't have the right orientation and you get into any office, my brother, it is that person that has the biro that actually gives that abstract noun, government, a life. So if you don't have the right orientation, you have the wrong. So for us, I see all of us as collectively not doing enough. I must tell you the truth. Many of us cannot say what is happening. Many of us are so much afraid.
Okay.
Many of us go on social media to tweet what is not right. Many of us go on social media to tweet hate, spoiling and making insecurity worse. I wouldn't want to mention some blogs, but there are blogs when you visit, you begin to wonder, are these people Nigerians? You see the bill, the hate you have against your nation. You see people who will tell others, you are to run away from your community. You actually increasing the hate. For some of us, that's not what happened in somewhere like Itoso or local government at Lidu. We saw the community, some of them, in a mass came back in December. And I listened to Linda Yaman. It was good. He stood before the community and told many of them that the so-called unknown government, that he could send so many of them who were watching him as members. He said it clearly, the video is online. He said, look, I know many of you here who are watching me, I can see many of you. Thank God today you have repented to drop your weapon. Can we have men bold enough to speak truth to themselves first?
Doc, I was about asking you, why do you think this insecurity issue is more prevalent in some states or some geopolitical zones than the other?
Every security is local. The fires, the wood, the air was actually supported by the people. I must tell you the truth. I was in Okigwe, precisely Igube, on 3rd of January. And the community was a ghost town. Completely ghost town. There was no evidence that there was any form of, December or Utah season celebration. And I stopped by, to ask one young girl. She was quick telling us that, look, we have mounted security. And we drove a distance, a long short distance. We saw old men, some of them 60 years and they were. I went down and said, have you people stopped receiving Omo to your village? The man said, I had to go also and now, they welcomed them. In many of these communities that were ravaged in Igbo land, when these guys, those that came to rescue them from the so-called criminals, they welcomed them. Many of us we are saying, what you are welcoming will become your trouble, will become your Waterloo. In Borno State, when Boko Haram started, they began by destroying churches. the people of those environments actually welcome them. They call them the good ones. Not until they start killing them. Back to the solution. When the military wanted to remove them, it became difficult. It was the same people that managed themselves, formed joint security military task force, the hunters of the community.
By themselves?
By themselves. And send them away. In Lilu, in Osum, in so many communities, they've now gotten up to say, I mean, these are our children that are doing this. Whether they have external collaborators or not, we have to send them away.
Are you now saying that it is better each community does it by themselves?
No, what we keep saying is that security is everybody's business. But I keep telling people when they say there's no community policing, I say the governors are clever by half. In all our villages, the truth is that in the olden days, the young boys are, in their number, they take their turn to guard the communities. For some of us who have, good communities, I could still remember what happens. Aneke and Aneke, for any young man aged between 18 and probably 40, there's a time, a day you take your turn, to watch over the community, watch over the infrastructure, the transformers, schools, and so on. It's like that in our communities. In towns here, many of us living in streets organized ourselves and formed what we call neighborhood watch. Many of us contribute money to pay security men and then to help them, give them information, and the word of criminals in the environment. So it's everybody's business.
Okay,
everybody must rise up. For some of us who are coming up on internet cyber criminalities today, I like how many of us would actually, after a while, send messages on how you could avert cyber crimes. People who want to hack into your phone numbers and so on. But you see, the next we needed is how do we support ourselves to understand that it's nothing like government except when we all believe that this government must function. How do we support the policemen? How do we hold them accountable? How do we speak to to powers? How do we give them information? Must we become set of people that demonize those in authority? I can tell you, sometimes it's not easy on them.
Okay.
I can tell you, I've been to Enugu Command and Control Center. I've actually taken my time to watch what's going on there. The poor manpower of security architecture in the states, and so on. You see, sometimes they require you not just to criticize them, but to give them information, to assist them, and to praise them when they do well.
But that's a statement you made that the governors are clever by half. I am not thinking that governor of Enugu State is amongst, because I am thinking that is exceptionally doing well in terms of security. Or don't you think so?
I must tell you that he is doing his best. In fact, one of the members of Enugu State Security Board, there's this thing he created where he floated 20 billion naira for security. Last time they bought drones. And I was talking to one of the members. I said, please, tell His Excellency to begin to focus on human security. And why do I say so? I say, if you have 100,000 Boko Haram members or 100,000 terrorists come out in the open field and say, Oga, we give you 48 hours to do whatever you want to do with us. Otherwise, we'll go back to the bush. And we are all criminals. We have our guns. We kill. And I've killed. One of us have killed. We can give you names of people we killed. I say, if you're going, what would you do? Would you kill them? Would you put them to prison? What would you do to them? So in order to avert such a situation where we take our, young, able-bodied men and women, hold them to prison, suffer those that are good citizens to pay tax, work for them to, because when you put a person in prison, look at what you did. You provided accommodation free, you gave him food, you gave him water, you gave him health care, free. Those that are laboring in the streets, paying their tax, have not gotten such opportunities. Get it clearer. So it's an incentive for a criminal to continue, because he knows that in the street he may not have a house. So why don't you steal and you keep him? And that's why that if you see a criminal, once you catch him, you say, take me to police station. Because he knows that once he gets to police station, at least he is entitled to free accommodation. He's entitled to free food. He's entitled to good medical.
What about freedom of movement?
What freedom are they talking about? Initially they know they are criminals. Why are they roaming around? They were looking for food. And you have restricted them and gave them food. And more recently, National Open University will give them opportunity to study.
But at least they have been taken away from the society where they rob people.
And then they are now robbing you and I, who are good citizens, to feed them. Get this thing, the picture clearer. So for those countries that have achieved high level of human development index, like Finland, Scandinavian countries, you hardly see criminals there. They don't go to prison. That is when, look, which one is, who is a free man? A man who cannot afford to pay rent, and a man who was given a free accommodation to live. Who is a freer man? I'm supposed to live in a decent house. I don't have work. I don't have money to pay for my rent. My landlord sent me out, and policeman took me because I committed crime and gave me accommodation in prison. I don't know if you understand the picture I'm trying to paint.
But I still look at it that the accommodation or the life they live in prison is subjugated, kind of.
It's not subjugated, because if they had been outside, they wouldn't have had a house to stay. They are criminals now. They don't have any means of livelihood. So we begin to talk about that freedom. If they had got opportunity to live in a good house, in a decent home, when you deprive them that of living in a decent home, that is when it makes sense to them that where you have kept them is not the right place. How do you take it, a man who had been living in the bush, mosquito, wild animals, had been battling with wild animals, he doesn't have any good accommodation, you cut him up in arms where he's not feeding well, put him in a prison, gave him food, gave him shelter, and you say he's not living well. I mean, was the man free while he was in the bush? So the best bet we have is to work towards creating an opportunity for so many of us to be good citizens.
All right, Doc, let's come back a little bit to the efforts of or the stringent measures the governor of Enugu State is putting in place to make sure that there is security in Enugu State. I learned he has supported the forest guards with security materials and all that, and they are doing well.
I said something. For one bullet expended is equals to one person's meal. If you understand what I just, it's alternative for gun. For those in economics, one bullet expended is alternative for gun for somebody's meal. That's the truth. So, I support getting more security operatives. For me, I have always maintained that the government should think about, community security, community policing. Recruit as many people as government can carry. Because by the time you recruit many of them, many who would have turned to criminals would have been, recruited to meaningful, job. And then you create, surveillance, gather a lot of information in a chartered manner, in a trained and organized system, than allowing them to become haphazardly organized. So I give kudos, not just to the, not just to the government of Enugu State, but to the government of Nigeria on the larger part. Remember, the president was saying there is need for them to talk about community policing across the federation. So I give them kudos. I give them kudos that push them with good equipment. He actually kitted them. I must tell you that I was so happy when I met the forest guards with their new rifles, and their new uniform. Okay. They looked smart. They looked good, and I think that is one thing that you must give somebody who is doing work. If there are things you need to do work with, if they are there, it will be so nice.
And I learned they were well trained to do the job. And well equipped.
Training is an ongoing event.
Okay.
I believe that the system should be able to mimic what you have in a larger police system. Have a lot of departments, gather information, process information, and then make arrests if there is need, and then nip crime in the bud. That's, for me, that would be the peak of what they are doing. But more important.
But I was thinking that the forest guard should be in the forest, guarding our forest, while the vigilante and neighborhood watch will stay around.
No, it's better. It's all the whole thing about. For me, I look at all of them as community policing.
Okay.
Both the forest and the neighborhood watch, they are all living within the community. So if you have divided some of them to be in the forest, I mean, that's good. It gives our farmers the opportunity to believe that there is some, you wouldn't entertain somebody coming to kidnap you. So I give it to them. But I want to see one angle. And what is that angle? You see, you have to avert those getting into crime and criminality. Remember, if you shoot a criminal in the leg, the criminal comes to the hospital, brought by who? The security agents. The doctor is interested in managing the criminal. And drugs are given at the expense of who? Government. Another money is expended, something that would have been averted. So I'm looking at how do we begin to take away people, prevent people from getting into crime in the first instance.
Okay.
For most developed nations, that's what they do. How do we begin to prevent people from... So government needs to get into a change of orientation. I always maintain that I can't remember any governor who gets up in September or in January to say, or next budget to say, last year we had 15,000, 20,000, 100,000 children that came out of secondary school, and we were able to create 50,000 jobs last year. That this year we are going to increase it by such a number. We need to begin to hear such statistics. We need to begin to see how many people actually get into meaningful employment. So please, the government should begin to, back to the first statement, look at policies that should take people off streets, that should dissuade people from getting into crime, that should engage the people, the youth, such that it becomes more meaningful, that you don't just buy guns, spend the people's money, buy rifle, buy them, and then give those that do not have accommodation, so that you can take people away and then rechannel us, so that we can get to the part of economic growth.
Thank you so much. We can get to the part of economic growth. Thank you so much, Doc. We have been getting signals all over there because our time is up. Thank you so much. I've been with the Secretary, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, Enugu State Structure, Dr. Chikezie Obasi. Doc, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Viewer, thank you also for being there. It has been a nice time we shared with you, discussing key issues of security in Enugu State and Nigeria at large. Thank you so much. My name is Chukwuemeka Obasi. Do have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Security is not just police on patrol. It is safety in homes, schools, markets, and mines. Without it, progress is impossible. Be alert, report danger, support community watch. True security is collective responsibility.
We are on campus today talking to freshers about their first days in university, the surprises, the challenges, and the excitement of beginning a new journey. Let's hear what they have to say.
My advice is that always come for lectures and always concentrate, because it's not easy in universities like this to not to come to lectures and you think that that you just come for exam and that, right? And also be coordinated, and also anything they ask for, just always do it, and always be punctual in everything. And also if you want to become one of the best in IMT, you have to follow up if it's a practical and all that things. You always be the best. Always in a spiritual life like this, always follow God. Do not backslide. Like my spiritual father always say that any day, anytime, do not rely on men, but rely on God only. Do not ever say that you want to go and meet man for something. Always rely on God. Even though you have problems, just always rely on God. And even for relationship like this, do not think that a relationship can be just for nothing. If you want to be in a relationship like this, always be smart. do not get relationship to get into your head, but always be smart in this kind of relationship.
The advice that I will give to my fellow freshers is that focus on yourself and know what you came to campus to do. Know what you came to campus to do, because so many people are here not just to read but to get distracted, and so many are here to distract others that wants to achieve something in the future. And also, like me coming to this school, this place is not my intention. I don't want to come here, but the way I'm seeing things and the friends that I'm making, it's giving me vibe that I should stay calm and look forward for my future. Like, I see so many people with ambition in this school, and many that are here just to have fun and all stuff. You understand? My fellow freshers, I would like to say, anything about God, just take it serious, because you don't know what plan that God has for you. You might just think like me. I had a vision that led me to IMT, because the school that I intended to go is UNN, but I had a vision for IMT, and I know that God has something for me here. You understand? And first of all, in aspect of relationship with God, obedience is better than sacrifice. Just obey and leave everything to God. Like our lecturer on Com 115 said, just do 50 and leave 50 to God, or you do 40 and leave 60 to God. You can't leave everything to God. You understand? And find people that you know they are serious with relationship with God, not people that loves to party and loves whiling their time. You understand? And try to endeavor in a fellowship program or in a society like a fellowship society that can be following you up about your spiritual life and other stuffs. And also try to have mentors, people that if you have problem with, you can go to them and say, sir, this is what I'm battling with. Like, you understand? Like, so many of us are passing through a lot. So many of us are facing a lot of challenges, like, let me say, lust, masturbation, lesbianism. But if you have a spiritual mentor that is highly ranked in the spirit, he will guide you. He will guide you, understand? Don't make friends with hooligans then. You understand? So that's my advice for a fresher. Always love things about.
To freshers, to me, from my own experience and perspective, school is not an easy task, but it's easy. Only when you want to make it easy. It is less for you. Understand? You know that this life, the way you lay your bed is the way you lay your needs. You as a fresher, as a beginner, all you need to do, one, is to ask those that has been in the game before you. How has been, like, how they have been playing the game, understand? And you as a fresher, never you try to prove to your lecturers that you are stubborn. Always cooperate with them. One, make sure you go to class. Although normally it's not more that everybody will go to class, but try as possible as you can. Make sure you go to class. Take your lectures very serious. Study hard, but to me, it's not more that everybody must study. But at least try your best. Understand? Because when you try your best, they will know how they will help you out. The most annoying part is that you are not putting effort, and you'll be expecting somebody to come and assist you. Understand? Anybody that wants to assist you is trying to pull his or herself down. Understand? So when you make a move, they will help you to move.
My advice to freshers is as a fresher, they should focus on their studies and try to be oriented on the environment of the school. So it's only advice to the person. In aspect of spiritual life, I would say that they should focus, though everybody has their own religion, so they should focus on their religions, trying to pray that the God they are serving should help them pass through.
I'm going to say about the relationship that if you're not ready for anything, just don't go into it, because it's going to drain you. Yes. But the academical stuff, I'm going to advise them to take their studies seriously, like in secondary school, that they should not just pass over anyone. Like, you should take it serious, because most of it you're going to see there and you cannot run away from it. Then about the God spiritual life, they should hold God very well, because without God they are nothing. There are going to be so many pressures to join this, to join that, maybe from the new classmates that you meet. You just have to hold God and then know God. It's going to help you along the way.
First, I would say let them, take their studies very serious. Wise up, because scammers, they fool this school. So, and take God things serious, worship God very well, good, give your life to Christ, many things. So, and the last two on take your studies very well.
Those are the voices of freshers sharing their thoughts and advice as they begin this important chapter. We wish them success as they settle into the university life. Thanks for watching. I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
From the tiniest cells to the farthest galaxies, life holds secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Why are we here? What connects us all? What unseen forces shape our destiny? Join Professor Jude Udenta as he explores the wonders, the questions, and the revelations that define existence. Mysteries of life, where every answer sparks a new discovery. Watch now on Aneke TV every Monday.
Welcome, viewer. Once again, we are back to the mysteries of life. I think the tone for this discussion has been set by the Reverend among us. He asked me a question. Why do you think, what makes you a Christian, for example? Or what makes you an adherent of whatever religion you claim to belong to? This brings us to the question of baptism. We always hear about baptism. You know, we just finished the Christmas season, Christmas tide. We're in the new year, and we celebrated in the Catholic Church the baptism of our Lord Jesus Christ. And with me in the studio to look into this program, we have by my left, you know, a reverend of the Christendom who pastors with the Assemblies of God Church. He is a pastor at Owani, Enugu South District. He is the children's pastor, eh?
Yes.
Yes. He sees about the fate of the young ones, the future, because the young ones are the future. And he is our brother, Reverend Uche Carlo. Reverend Uche Carlo, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, listeners.
And by my right, we have our brother, he is Gabriel. He is also Nemeka Anichukwu. He is involved in trying to make sure there is peace in the community by being a peace and conflict resolution expert. Nemeka Mazi, you're welcome to the program.
Prof, thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to start with the pastor. You know, this thing that you, because when you asked that question, I got confused. You know, what makes you who you are? Is just like, what do you mean by baptism? Because I don't know whether there's anything like that. Because you know, there are something that you mentioned, you know, off the camera about people that are captive and those that are not captive audience and so on. But what is baptism? Let me know whether it is real or just, you know, one of those empty things we do.
Yeah, baptism is an act, one of the Christian
rites,
ordinances. Yes, that is commanded by Christ for us to, as Christian adherents for us to identify with. And Christ himself was baptized.
Okay.
And he commanded the disciples to also baptize people the moment people or someone believes in God.
Okay.
And by so becomes a command. And before you get baptized, you need to have come to a level and a point of an encounter to know that you are a sinner and you are now repenting. You have repented, accept Christ, then you identify with Christ. That baptism is an identification with Christ in his death and his resurrection. And then a new life begins. So if you are baptized, the next step is an expectation from you to live like Christ.
Okay. To be Christ-like, like Christopher.
Yes.
Like Christopher. I like that word, Christopher. Not being a Christian. Aneke, you listen to him, his definition of what baptism is all about. He called it an ordinance. We look at it as a rite. But is it an empty rite? Is there any reason for that in baptism?
There's a reason for baptism. Baptism is, from my own perspective, is a Christian rite or ritual that initiates you into the body of Christ. It's a source of purification. It's a source of regeneration. It's a source of admission into the community of Jesus Christ, Christianity, where those that Christ knows. So some people call it a sacrament. I call it sacrament. The Protestants call it ordinance. And then it comes in different categories. You have the immersion baptism, and this baptism is actually done to cleanse you from the Adamic sins. Call it enjoy. That is the sin, the evil that you carry, an innate evil with which you came to this life, where you are cleansed. Then those Adamic sins are washed away, and you are now initiated. It's a kind of initiation into the community of believers of Jesus Christ. But it comes in immersion. Immersion is where you don't submerge the person totally, partially submerged. Then there's one you call subversion. So you don't when you immerse totally deeply into the water. That Protestant churches recognize immersion, submersion baptism. They call it affusion, where you pour the water on the person. Then aspersion, you sprinkle the water on that person. Catholics and some churches do affusion and aspersion. So to my baptism is true if you get introduced into the body of Christ. But I have a different, though not opposite, view. There is also African traditional baptism.
We're waiting. Yes, go ahead with that.
African traditional baptism.
Yes.
Then because
I wanted to find out whether it's only in the Christendom that we have baptism.
No, we have African traditional baptism, even satanic baptism, Satanism. So African traditional baptism is whereby a newborn child, where a child that's born newly, is introduced into the body of the ancestors, the living and the dead. So whereby he has the opportunity to partake in the good, the protection, the prosperity that the ancestors bestowed. He is recognized by ancestors, those who have lived in that family in the past. Whereby they give him the protection and blessings. He partakes, he becomes a fellow partaker in the blessing and protection of that ancestral roof. So as we have Christian baptism, we have African traditional baptism. So the child is introduced so that the family, the ancestors of the family, will know him or her, and they will pack him or her with the powers and protections and blessings of the root family.
So before the coming of Christ as man, you know, after the fall of man, we used to have for the male this thing called circumcision. Oh, you know, in the ancient world, were we having baptism? Ancient Christendom, ancient Jewish practices.
All right.
From where we now have
It's
Christianity.
important for us to know that in Christianity, that is where we have baptism. Outside Christianity, you have initiation, you have ritual. There is no way you can come in African religion, you said it is baptism. The word baptism only came or is from Christian context. You see it in Matthew, you see it in Romans, you see it in the Bible concerning the disciples, pure. Now, when you talk about the circumcision, you just
asked the question.
Yes, in the ancient time, the Greeks, the Hebrews, the Jews, what they do once a child is born, 8 days after the child is born, they go for circumcision. Okay, after that circumcision, like 40 days after the child, you go for child dedication in the church, in the temple. And when you come there are things you come with that is for child dedication. They call it the opening of the womb. Especially it's done by a male child when a male child is born. And that male child becomes the firstborn of the family. So issue of baptism periodically has an identification with Christ's coming, Christ's death, and your belief into a new life.
I'm going to come back to you because this is what he has said. And he's associating baptism with Christ. So what did John the Baptist come to do when he was baptizing?
The same baptism.
Yeah, because if you associate only just if it's at the level of Christ.
Yes.
So that's why I'm asking the question.
Yes. He's talking from. He's a theologian, a Christian theologian.
I thought it's me who asked him.
Okay, I'm asking you first.
Yeah,
but
I am the one that
introduced it.
Yes.
He brought it up, but I wanted to get his own
John the
perspective.
Baptist was a forerunner of Christ. He came before Christ, preaching the gospel of the good news, still pointing people to Christ, telling them, the person that is coming behind me, I am baptizing you with water, but the person that is coming behind me is coming and is going to baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. That is to say, his power is greater than my own power.
You know, we know about that one. We know about that.
John the Baptist believes in Christ, and he also believes anybody he preaches to and the person repents, the person will be baptized.
Do I have to say that John the Baptist believed in Christ? John the Baptist was with Christ.
He believed.
It's not about believing. He was his forerunner.
Before you be with somebody as identification, you have to believe the person.
He understood.
Yes.
He was with him. So that's why he said, I'm supposed to take baptism. Why I'm asking the question? Why I ask the question to you is this? I ask that question because John the Baptist told Jesus that I am the person that's supposed to be baptized by you, which means that baptism is not a new concept to them.
That was not the context of his statement.
No,
the context of his statement was that Jesus Christ was your power. Yes. You are the one I am supposed to submit to.
I agree.
He was not attacking the word.
No, he wasn't attacking baptism. No, I'm not saying he was attacking baptism. I'm trying to say that by what he said, it is not a new concept
at all.
So it's not a new concept. It's a
pre-modern concept.
It's an old concept with even the world,
even the traditional religions.
Yes.
Even other Asian religions.
Well, I'm trying to bring in.
The context came with Christ. The context came with the New Testament.
No. Have you forgotten that I'm not good at putting Bible, but I know that when he said that they remember that Elijah was supposed to come and continue with this baptism, because he said, if you are not Elijah, why were you baptizing? Isn't that the question?
Exactly.
No, if you were not, why were you baptizing?
That is what I'm saying.
That's the question that I have.
The New Testament is a fulfillment
of the Old Testament.
Fine. So that baptism came with the New Testament and came with Christ.
No.
Okay, that's why.
Baptism. If you do your research properly, you know that baptism predates Christianity. Yes.
No, because
in Asian religions, even in African initiation rites, baptism is a synonym for traditional initiation, any initiation, even Satanism. Those who worship Satanism, you have Satanic baptism.
That is why it's either initiation or
initiation. So baptism is a Christian initiation. It's initiation. So baptism is a kind of even in South Africa, some tribes in South Africa, in Europe, whenever, even in ancient, in traditional circles, baptism concerns using water to purify and bring somebody into the community of people. It involves water. Any baptism does not it precludes. It's not only Christianity that you have baptism. You have baptism in Asian religions of the world.
Okay, I brought up this thing because we need to get down to this idea of baptism.
That's why I said that the day you know that it is African traditional baptism,
okay,
whereby the child that is born is introduced to the community of the community of the ancestors of the family.
Okay, whichever one it is. Let me now get back to the to Reverend Uche. What does baptism do for us or to the person that is baptized?
Like I said before, for one to be baptized, it means the person has come to a full knowledge that he is a sinner.
Okay.
And is yielding to repentance.
Okay.
He has been able to confess Christ as his Lord and personal Savior.
Okay.
And then the baptism, the immersion, the dipping of that person into the water will now take place. And the essence of that is one, to identify with Christ.
Okay. One.
Two, to show the world that you have now come to a new life.
Okay.
When once you are baptized,
okay,
it is a public thing. It's not a secret thing.
Okay.
The one that the court or whatever will do is a secret stuff. But in baptism, in Christianity, is a public thing. People will come around, stay around, singing, joy filled everywhere. So the essence of that, people now see you and begin to reckon you as set apart, separate for God. And there are things, if you do it, they say, meaning it is not expected of you to do because it's an old life.
Okay.
Which baptism must have taken care
should have taken care of
based on your repentance and the new life in Christ.
You know why I'm bringing up this is Reverend Uche, because before we just started this program, just a few minutes before we came on air, we had this concept that you brought in, the concept of captive audience. Now that captive audience, they are all supposed to be baptized. Most of them are supposed to be baptized, if based on your definition. Maybe when we come back after this break, we will now get back to captive audience and then delve into this whole concept of baptism.
From the tiniest cells to the farthest galaxies, life holds secrets we are only beginning to uncover. Why are we here? What connects us all? What unseen forces shape our destiny? Join Professor Jude Udenta as he explores the wonders, the questions, and the revelations that define existence. Mysteries of life, where every answer sparks a new discovery. Watch now on Aneke TV every Monday.
So, while we are trying to, look into this concept of baptism, because I am a Catholic, but I'm not the discussant here. You are the discussant with the Reverend. And he has looked at it as identification, you brought it as initiation, you also accept that, you brought it in as purification, and then you brought it in as, some of those concepts that you brought up and admission into the community. Both of you agree on that. So, now the question now becomes, well, now that somebody has become baptized, and like you said, once you are baptized, people begin to wonder when you do one or two things. In the Catholic Church, by baptism, we become priests, we become prophets, and we become royalties, kings in in the Catholic Church. Now, his own concept of baptism ends at adult baptism. The Catholic baptism is global. It has infant baptism, it has adult baptism. All of them are included in this, but his own concept ends at the adult baptism. But what do you say about those okay, let me get back to him. What do you say about those who baptize infants, like in the Catholic Church?
Well, if we have to take the Bible as a standard.
Yes, I'm looking at it. I'm waiting.
I doubt if we have a record of where a child, infant, was baptized.
I'm listening.
Now, under the normal standard of Christian faith, baptism is supposed to open the heaven. Baptism is supposed to unlock certain spiritual doors. Like in the Bible, when Jesus was baptized, immediately he was baptized, about to come out from the water, the heaven opened and there was a confirmation from heaven. This is my beloved son, hear ye him. When an adult is baptized, heaven opens for a divine assignment. Heaven opens for a divine empowerment. If an infant is baptized and heaven opens, where is the assignment? Where is the empowerment?
Okay, let me answer that one because maybe you may not be able to take that one. I know you can take it, but let me answer a bit from the Bible.
But you would have allowed him to go to the ancestral.
No, I don't want to go to the ancestral. No, you are trying to distract what you are doing. Now, if you go back to that, because when they came to John the Baptist and told him, who are you? He made it clear that he is not the Christ. Then he said, but why do you baptize? He said, in another part of the Bible, he said, because the one that sent me, the one who sent me, told me that he on whom I would see the Holy Spirit fall on as a pigeon, or something like that.
Yes,
but I'm trying to, as a dove, because I wanted, as a dove. He is the Christ. He didn't say, they didn't make it. It was, he said, people are coming to him.
And that is true.
Wait now.
That is true.
Wait now.
Did he saw an infant with
wait, I'm coming. I am trying to say what the Bible tells us, the one we have.
Right.
No, what the Bible tells us and the one we have. And I'm trying to look at the fact that John the Baptist did not introduce the concept baptism. That is why they asked him that question. Now, why do you baptize? Then he explained to them that the one that sent me said, the man on whom was baptizing everybody that was coming. But he had an assignment. The assignment was to indicate the Messiah. And he said, later he told the people that when I was baptized, I saw the heavens open and the dove come down on him. The Holy Spirit come down on him like a dove. He is the Messiah. That was where he did his work. The rest of it is where he had to go back to his Creator. But having said that, so there was no place where it was sacrosanct, that it must be done as what do you call it, as an adult, because throughout the Old Testament, which from where we now have the New Testament, the concept of baptism has been around. But maybe you have a better thing to add to it.
The Reverend is right in his own perspective, because when you talk of baptism, is assumed and the person being baptized, because in Acts of the Apostles chapter 2 verse 38 says, baptize them in the name of Jesus Christ for the cleansing of forgiveness of their sins. So whether someone is baptized, because the greatest sin, the most potent sin is that Adamic inner sin, then in as much as I'm not countering adult baptism, because what the Reverend man of God says that the adult who is convinced that he or she has repented will confess. Because baptism is a kind of covenant, a new covenant with Jesus Christ. And from his own perspective, he portrays it that before you make a covenant, you know the meaning of the covenant. Before you take it up, that you abide by the principles of that covenant. So, but in the infant baptism, any human being born to this world comes with enjoying law or the Adamic sin. So then the covenant entered for that child. It's just like in Igbo culture, when a newborn baby is initiated into the committee of the family ancestral powers and blessings. So the baptism is being done on that child, introducing him, washing, cleansing him, bringing the blessings of the Father's house on him or her. So I'm not against adult baptism. I'm not countering infant baptism. But the most important thing is that baptism ought to take a very potent transformation in your life, that you live a new life, whereby you live according to the principles of the Holy Spirit. Because Holy Spirit means more spirit that eschews evil. Once you are in Christ, my own concept of Christ is golden rule: do unto others as which others do unto you. That's why the Christocentric philosophy of the golden rule pervades all religions of the world. So baptism is bringing you into the spirit of God Almighty that eschews evil. That's why in Matthew chapter 28 verse 19 it says, baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And that name of the Father, that Father means it represents creation and sustenance of what He has created. Son represents salvation, and the name of the Holy Spirit means sanctification. This Trinity, that three parts, make somebody whole to partake in the communion of the saints, both the triumphant saint and the militant saints.
Okay, but because the point I've made, which brings me to decide, because the issue is this right an empty right? No. These are the issues, because once you bring in the Bible, some of us may not be able to quote directly, but we remember version, parts whereby, like when St. Paul was complaining about what happened to him, he said Alexander the coppersmith had done me much ill. Because, and then he mentioned some other people who were with them, who later turned against them. So if those people were with them from the beginning, if it is true that they were with them, they wouldn't have left. So these are the issues. Exactly. Because the point he made is, he said, this captive audience, which they are all baptized, are they really baptized in the real concept of the word baptism? Because he is now raising this issue of whether it's child baptism or adult baptism. Now, and I'm asking, all those captive audience, are they not baptized?
It's good for you to know also, like he said, when an infant comes into play,
yes,
and they either sprinkling or pouring,
whichever one,
or immersion is done, is baptism. As that child begins to grow and come into adolescence, the sins he committed, the Adamic nature sin, the evil that the parent or he came into the world with, were washed away by baptism. That is prayer. And then the post after the baptism, that child didn't know anything and is growing, committing every other thing.
No, the child, like you.
Wait,
Pastor,
before the person
wait. We have just 5 minutes, but I want to tell you something. When you ask that kind of question, it questions the basis of your own personal. No, I got your point. You cannot question the essence of infant baptism because you are in charge of children's theology, bringing up children. When you don't catch the children at that point, you don't mess up with.
You don't baptize a child until that child come to a level of understanding and say, I now believe. I now confess. I now align with.
By the time Christianity became strong, before the coming of Constantine and all those people were baptized as adults. Because wait. What, you don't come and talk of Catholic, and you're talking. You cannot talk of your church without the Catholic Church.
He's a knight of St. John. You are a Papa Knight.
No, I'm not a Papa Knight.
Okay.
No, you cannot talk of any Christendom without talking of the Catholic Church, because that is the basis. Whatever you want to take away is your own decision. But I'm coming. and come in. The fact of the matter is that people who come in, those who give birth to children, they baptize them. But those who were taken, like the one in Acts chapter 10, they were baptized as adults.
I cherish that captive audience.
Yes.
I'm not looking at it wrongly.
Instead of looking at me.
No, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the camera.
Because
no, I'm looking at the camera.
I am the one that is contending with
I'm not contending with it because I'm trying to make it clear that before the 15th century, the Calvinists and then the Reformation and so on. Before your own is still a very young church. So before all those things came, because that's the truth. Because before all these things came, people were doing all these things. Before all this information
came. Not on the basis of the truth.
No. There's no question of the truth or not the truth. And like he pointed out, even in Africa we have always had baptism of fire, baptism of blood. There are so many forms of baptism, and that's why I said John the Baptist. I don't want to talk of Jesus because I don't want to bring him to that level. John the Baptist did not create the word baptism. That's why the Jews asked him, why were you baptizing if you were not the Christ? And he explained to them why. That the person that sent him told him, by this you are going to get the sign of the... Just like Jesus, when Jesus answered Peter, he said, by answering this question, it is not flesh or blood, it was the Father that gave you that answer. So we must understand that in the spirit of the realm...
Prof, you are compounding
I'm not compounding it too. I'm not compounding it. The person compounding it. In the spirit realm, someone is a genius, not because of age.
It was when Jesus
someone is a genius, not because of age.
Say that,
and I don't want to bring in Jesus Christ from the side, from a point of view of those that are not Christian, non-Christian perspective. Because they will tell you that Jesus did miracles even as... Well, I don't want to bring it here. Because if I start bringing all those things, we are going to create problem for Christendom, for ourselves. So, but we know that...
Baptism.
No, we know that even as a child, even at the age of 12, even before the age of 12, and if you go to the Quran, you will see what Jesus did.
My problem is that
we are trying to look at baptism. And we're looking at it holistically.
The big trouble is that those who baptize are infants or adults. But what are the impacts of being baptized? That's the
because when you are ignorant of a process, you will abuse that process. You need to come to a level where you know what the blood of Jesus has done in our life.
It is because you said that because people are being baptized as infants. That was the problem. But now you say that even in the captive audience, even in the place where people are baptized as very old people, adults, and not adults, very old men, they are still among the captive audience. That's why I said, our baptism therefore an empty right?
I said
it's not an empty right. I said baptism is a covenant. A covenant. Any person who knows the meaning of baptism.
Yes.
When you are baptized, you ought to live the life of the deity to whom you have been baptized. Christ is the apogee of light, of righteousness. Then the big question about this captive audience is all these Paul, Peter, Gabriel, Jude, St. Jude, St. Gabriel, St. Mary, St. Agnes, who are these corrupt and high-profile sinners and evil committers in our society? I've not seen one in front of them. Or one
innocent.
Most of these people who are committing these homongous atrocities in our land are St. Peter, St. Paul. I'm St. Gabriel. The church says I'm St. Gabriel. And Gabriel. Am I behaving like Gabriel? St. Jude, are you behaving like St. Jude?
I'm trying.
Because that's why Africa has deep meanings in giving names. And they demonize our ancestors who are the saints, those who lived well. Because when for instance, if I'm Okeleki Iboki, Santokeleki Iboki, if you see my life, you reflect because there is a way they find out who reincarnated you.
Even in baptism,
yes,
you have an identification with Christ.
The captive audience,
and you become a Christian.
The captive audience you provide
is a name, Christ, in you.
Yes.
It's expected that you live the life of Christ.
To show that.
So why are we not living that life?
Why? Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. You're the pastor.
Why we are living that life?
Why are we not living that life?
We refuse to be regenerate
captive audience
before we go into baptism.
Now I'm saying
we refuse to be regenerated. We refuse.
But why do you refuse to be regenerated when we are baptized?
No, you know the word. When you are talking, so you don't. The word is not why do you. The word should be why do we. Because when you say why do you are isolating yourself. You are not trying to put as if I am the crucified Christ.
No.
You are the.
No, at all.
So the point is that we as individuals, before you go into water baptism, you must have come to acknowledge that I have encountered Christ. I am ready to live the life of Christ. It's a public thing. And after that, the expectancy grows up. Understand? So that people begin to expect changes and new life in you. Now, when we come into the scene of the world we are today, evil keeps on coming every day.
Yeah, but
we try to say another thing and do another thing.
Pastor, let me look for a trouble. Pastor, let me look for a trouble now. Are you aware? Let me look for a trouble now.
I don't.
Are you aware that
I did not come with any trouble?
Okay.
So I wonder what you are looking for.
Because I'm sure that the Saintly Catholic has a much more serious, obvious advantage in terms of what it does than the Saintly others.
Like what?
I'm coming now.
You don't need to judge. You don't need to judge. Because privately and secretly, you don't know
I'm coming. You know I'm coming now. You know I'm coming like that. Because you are looking at this child baptism as the issue. Because I've seen that a lot. Because all the captive audience, among the captive audience, some of them even baptized when they were 100 years, 90, 80, 20, 10, 15. So it is not about that. The question you asked, which is the question we are having, is why have we remained part of? We have a covenant. By baptism, we have a covenant, and that covenant is means that we shall abide by it. Like the point made before we started this discussion, before we came on air, he said that the northern Christian is a Christian, and the southern Christian is an Akamu Christian. Watered, and that because he's watered down, he's not ready to face the baptism of blood. There's baptism of blood, baptism cover. No, those children that were killed when Jesus was born, where do you put them? Where do you put them? Because these concepts are philosophical, are ontological, they have deep meanings. They are not just about, because the idea of trying to win, adherent issue doesn't solve the problem. Because those children, when they were killed,
they become matter.
They become matter. Don't you know were mattered?
Yeah.
Were they baptized?
Yeah. Even if they are not
baptized,
even if they are not baptized, it does not remove.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It does not remove nor reduce the efficacy.
Don't forget that baptism has categories. Baptism of water, baptism of spirit, baptism of fire.
Yes. So when we are not talking about those.
No,
we just want to dig in to know the effect.
That's what we are looking at. It was because you came up with this idea that I'm bringing it up. But the issue that is before us is why is it that after all the effort to baptize us, it has remained like an empty rite?
Yes, that is true.
Because when they were still doing what do you call it, shooting range at Abani Road, so they used to do what do you call it, that firing squad. Firing squad. I came to a firing squad as a student. I came. I wanted to know what the boy did. They haven't put themselves into trouble because I saw them and I said, "What did he do?" The boy's name was innocent.
Okay.
The boy's name was innocent.
Okay, Saint Innocent.
The boy's name was innocent.
But Saint Innocent now.
And he was a
Saint Paul, Saint Cathedral, Saint Gabriel, Saint John, Saint Mary.
For those ones, the one that only innocent were the one that killed.
Then no, Catholic book is not a saint. When I call Catholic book, it's not a saint.
Jesus never said that.
But he's a saint.
When Jesus died, they said that all those who had lived a good life, that all of them also heaven open for them. They didn't give them to do. So that's why we have all saints in the Catholic Church. We have an all saints day because those who also lived saintly lives would also they don't have to be Christians.
All right.
They don't have to be Christians.
My grandfather
the Bible made it clear.
Yes.
In John chapter 1,
yes.
verse 12. As many that believe in him, he gives them the power to become children of God. The word there, give. When you are given,
you surrender.
The next is to receive.
Yes.
So to be baptized is one thing.
Good.
It's supposedly to be a covenant linking you with your faith in Christ, leading you into a new life.
Okay.
Then the question is, do you take
anchor
do you accept?
I like the word you use, anchoring that faith.
Whether you like the word or hate the one I'm
the one talking, but
I'm the one that giving the signal that brought the word you use.
Yes.
So what is important is the response.
That's the response.
After
that's
baptism.
another word. That's another good word.
Not after baptism. And you don't require response from an infant.
No, that's not true.
You require.
That's not true. No, that's not true.
You born.
No,
you are baptized after 8 days.
Excuse me.
What response are you expecting from him?
Me. What response?
You require response from adults.
No, that's a mistake.
It is on that adult that you now have the power to judge captive audience or free audience.
No, listen now, listen.
Prof, you are saying no.
Listen, you know why? No, I'm not. You're not depending. You're not reasoning with the reality of life. The reality of life that I was born and given the name Jude. My Igbo name is okay.
We are talking about
wait, I'm coming now. You are giving this name. Your parents do your best to guide you along the path that they have put you. And it's done all over the world, in every culture. People try to get the child or the children to fall into line with their teaching, so that by the time they grow, they don't leave it. Now, whether it's infant baptism, like I said, the Catholic Church does infant baptism, the Catholic Church does adult. But depending on the circumstances of the birth, depending on the circumstances of the birth, what we said is, after the baptism, what next? That's where we are. That's where we are.
After baptism,
what next?
Once you live a life of Jesus Christ, a life that eschews, that hates, that abhors evil in all its realms. That, and when you don't live that life that exhibits the tangible nature of Jesus Christ, you are not yet baptized.
No, why don't you use the
1 week child that you expect to live that life?
No, that's not true. So that one you're saying does not belong.
Is the child working? Is the child not talking?
No. Along with the politics of dominant culture.
Yes.
Because of dominant culture. The infant baptism, because the Papa Church, Catholics as a majority.
That is their belief.
Majority. But I'm not against, listen, even in Igbo, if I'm born in Aneke family, and I'm introduced into the community of the Aneke ancestors and so on. My parents, I ought to live because I'm eating their labor. I'm benefiting from them. So I ought to live in line because I have parents who are guiding me. But it's when I submit to be guided.
You are right. When you have come of age.
No, wait now.
When you have come of age.
Reverend.
Without coming of age, submission will
if I agree with my parents, they will guide me.
No, there's a problem with your position. The problem with your position is this. You have. I'm happy that I saw your daughter today. Did you wait for the girl to grow up to be given a name? You don't wait.
Giving a name.
Yes, you didn't.
And the experience of
wait now.
Is a different.
We're not. No, they are not. They are not different things. You give a name to your child. You don't wait for the child to grow. You give that child the name, and the child begins to answer that name until death.
Baptism entirely is not about answering a name.
It's a covenant now.
It's about the life.
No, it's about the life.
We talked about.
It's about the life.
What you do after it.
No, it's about the life. And what you are saying is this.
It's about the life, not
the reality on the ground is that when you have a child, you don't wait for the child to begin to make choices before you give the child a name. The same way in the Christendom, you have those who wait until they are adults. And there's no definition. Some people do it until when the person is a teenager. Some people do it until when the person is growing a little bit. Some people wait until. So there's no.
I hope you know that baptism is also about identifying with the death and resurrection of Christ.
Of course, we know that.
So, do you bury one that have not died?
What?
Do you bury a body that have not died?
No, that's why you're talking is symbolic.
So you die
it's symbolic.
Before you now identify. Before you now identify.
The symbolism is what you're talking about, because nobody dies again. More than Christ.
We're talking about spiritual. You die to sin.
No, it's
before you now be buried in Christ.
It's the person represented by the parents. In that regard,
the person is represented by
the parents, just like the parents have given you your name.
The godfathers and so when the person grew, whatever atrocity and sin he committed, he goes to the parents.
When the person grows, as the person grows, things begin to change. Excuse me.
The impact of our baptism is what I'm concerned about.
No, listen. these things are done, and there's no practical way you can escape from these things. No, I'm not going to say what you're going to say.
It's an issue of denominational belief.
No, it's not. No. You have to.
Do you understand? You will not say to the Catholic, stop doing it. It's their practice. It's their way.
No, you cannot even say that. I said you cannot say that.
Me and you, we have been on the ground. It's only that you refuse to agree.
I would agree with you because you don't want to see my own point.
No, Reverend has a point. He said that to the Catholic, you're not saying
this is their church doctrine.
No, wait, what about?
You understand? And for Pentecostal, it's not. But that is not the basis.
No, it's an ontological.
The basis of what we are discussing is that before you come to attain or be baptized,
yes,
you must
have
the question we have for you. You are a sinner.
No, the question we have for you as a reference.
And you want to identify with Christ. And you are coming up with a new life.
No.
I agree with you. You agree to live a new life.
After the initiation.
I'm not a 1 week child that will agree to
Reverend, I miss all this adult baptism.
Yes.
If you look at the ubiquity of evil in our society, what impact of the adult baptism?
Still expect no, because as long as life is concerned, evil days.
So what's the problem now?
Because it's an entire.
No, that's okay. Which means that those who baptize at the infant age is not even bad.
No, I'm not. Like I said before, that is their church doctrine.
It's not about their church doctrine.
We are not.
It's about the practical reality of life.
Judgment.
Okay.
When you bring food,
Reverend,
solid food to a newborn child, you cannot eat it.
Reverend, wait.
You know that.
No, which
baptism is a faith thing, which the person, the recipient,
Reverend,
the benefit must confess that he wants to identify to.
You use the wrong example now, using that infant child and solid food. A very old man of 110 years or 220 years will also not eat solid.
But he has already passed.
But remember, I said we have after traditional baptism.
No, he doesn't want to accept that.
I said we have after traditional baptism.
We know that.
You then no more that is after traditional baptism.
We know.
So baptism is not peculiar to Christianity. Baptism predates Christianity.
That is where we use the word initiation.
No,
all of them Christian initiation and social initiation.
That's what we
centric initiation and tradocentric initiation.
In African tradition, you use the word initiation because it's a strange word to use the word baptism in African tradition.
No, wait. Baptism is an initiation, right? That makes you a member of the body. In fact, according to Father Buckley when he was alive, it will make you Ndi Ogu Christi. Give them the parting word. Yes.
The parting word is that not just what we say, but what we do.
Yes, the voice.
Not just what we believe, but what we act.
Okay.
And that is what will bring transformation to the world.
Okay.
Let us live lives that ensure that abhors evil in its entirety.
Okay.
Whether you are baptized as an adult or infant or Christian baptism or traditional baptism, live a life that is worthy of being a child of God.
Thank you. Are you a member of the fighting forces for Christ? That's why you talked of the captive audience.
Oh, yes.
That's why you talked of the